If you watched my last video, you know I've been reflecting on the point of playing video games. In that last video, I talked a little bit about agency and player choice, how people expect games to offer their players a series of empowering choices that reflect the player's ability to alter their environment. What I tried to make clear is that I don't think the normal kinds of choices players are offered are very interesting. I'll be developing this thought in a video coming next month, but for now, I wanted to quickly articulate a question. What makes for an interesting choice in a video game? And to answer that question, here's another question. Do you remember Bulletstorm? Statistically, probably not, so let me catch you up. Bulletstorm is a very trashy first-person shooter from developer People Can Fly, a studio which used to make a lot of single-player shooters before they, like every other developer, got absorbed into the live service homunculus. Bulletstorm was marketed as a goofy alternative to the military shooters it was competing against in 2011. Its ads would reference Halo or Call of Duty. A teaser parody of the latter, titled Duty Calls, was even made available to the public to market Bulletstorm. And this marketing promised that Bulletstorm would be a satirical and goofy corrective to the ostensibly over-serious first-person shooter of the early 2010s. The other component of the marketing emphasized the game's trick shot system. Instead of just being a survival-focused combat game, Bulletstorm encourages the player to pull off combos and contextual actions using a variety of abilities with a scoring system that rewards a player who is able to, quote, kill with skill. In other words, this is a game about kicking dudes into things and kicking things into dudes. The game also became somewhat infamous in its time for its very bawdy dialogue. Here's a little bit of that.
You scared the dick off me! This thing is holding on by an ass hair. Spent half this trip swimming.
Yet you still reek like sun-baked asshole.
That's a coincidence. It's the name of Ishii's cologne. Here comes Butter Dick Jones and his heavenly asshole machine. Take a lick on the salty tainted doom, you brain-dead biker whore!
Hold your dick for 1 second, you fungal rim job.
Go fuck yourself! You shitpaws give chase, I will kill your dicks!
What? What does that even mean? You're gonna kill my dick? Well, I'll kill your dick! How about
As
that?
ridiculous as all of this sounds, it doesn't really represent the game's actual tone. In practice, Bulletstorm basically feels like Gears of War if Marcus Phoenix and company had some actual joie de vivre.
Ladies' night is brutal here! Let's get up there! Follow me! You see the look on their faces? Run! Run! No one imagines perishing at the hands of a child's toy! This is your plan?
We have to go!
Ah, to hell with it! Roll the dice!
The same mix of broy dialogue and gruff voices from Gears of War is present, but it's mixed with a jubilant excitement and a surprising amount of emotional sincerity.
So what's the wish?
Okay. You forgive Ishii. He's not a bad guy. Just been through some sour times.
Look, it ain't high art, but there's something kinda interesting going on here. So the plot goes as follows. You, Grayson Hunt, and your buddies are Spec Ops soldiers, part of a group called Dead Echo, and you are working in the employ of the foul-mouthed and comically evil General Serrano. You find out that Serrano has been using you to kill innocent people that Serrano has a personal beef with.
You told us the targets were gun runners, slave traders, mass murderers.
Yeah, I lied. So what?
Grayson swears revenge, and he and his pals become pirates, evading bounty hunters on the edge of the galaxy, striking at Serrano's forces where they can. By chance, following a lead on a possible target, your ship warps right to Serrano's flagship, and Grayson, in a fit of drunken rage, crashes the ship directly into Serrano's, leading both our heroes and our villains to crash land on the planet below. One of Grayson's friends, Ishii, is wounded in the crash, and the remaining members of Dead Echo quickly work to save their friend. The other members of Dead Echo, aside from Grayson, die while attempting to save Ishii's life. But after an automated surgery, Ishii is revived as a cyborg. Ishii, furious at Gray for maiming him and killing their friends, makes Gray promise to get him off-world, which they can only do by finding General Serrano and securing passage on the rescue ship that will arrive for him.
We get to him, get you off-world. I know some black-level bioengineers. We can get you fixed up, Ishii. I swear it on my mother.
Then if I expire, you have failed your last bid for redemption.
There's not much plot beyond that. You learn about the planet you've crash-landed on, which turns out to be a resort planet that was staffed by indentured prison laborers who revolted because they were being exposed to harmful chemicals.
Could anyone be so irresponsible to build a city amid these storms?
Radiation filters were destroyed during the workers' revolt. Bunch of pinko commie socialist queers felt they weren't being treated fairly.
But the story is more interested in tracing the tensions between characters as they move from one battle to another. Ishii veers back and forth between a warm, if somewhat strained, camaraderie with Grayson and a violent hatred and mistrust of him.
Ethics lesson, Gray. Things have changed.
Nice, so you're giving up. Letting that computer take over? Fine. Go. I'm about done listening to you whine anyway.
Be warned, Serrano is under my protection. You try to assassinate him. I will not hesitate to deal with you.
Deal with me. I'll deal with you, robot head jerkass.
The swinging pendulum of Ishii's personality is the result, we're told, of his cyborg enhancements. The computer, cold, logical, and unfeeling, is taking over his brain.
I am going to kill you, Gray. I see no logical reason not to.
It is further established early on that Gray's attempts at humor and his general boisterousness are part of his effort to help Ishii cling to his human side.
So, how you doing with keeping that logic code from taking over?
I am engaged in an endless struggle to maintain dominance of my own mind, thank you.
Well, try and make jokes, maybe. Use sarcasm. AI can't read it. Might help keep you in the driver's seat. Just saying.
Now, on its own, this battle for Ishii's mind would be unremarkable. However, what's also obvious is that this whole subplot is a way of dramatizing a more interesting emotional tension between Ishii and Gray. The conflict in Ishii's head between the cold and logical computer brain and the warm and friendly human brain is a displacement of Ishii's own response to Gray's drunken choice to effectively sacrifice Dead Echo's lives in an attempt to kill Serrano. By any logical metric, Ishii has every right to distrust and despise Gray, and yet he can't fully bring himself to because he trusts in Gray's ultimately righteous convictions and sense of justice. Ishii's battle against the computer in his head is in reality an expression of his conflicted feelings over his friend's bad choice, the choice that sets the entire plot in motion. Your character's violent struggle on the resort planet, that I think is called Elysium, and your embittered relationship with Ishii work very well together, narratively speaking, because they are both the result of a choice, Gray's choice to be a vengeful moron. Bulletstorm ends up being a remarkably ludo-narratively coherent game because it is a game about living inside of the consequences of a bad decision. Is that a decision that you made as the player? No. But your character makes that decision, and then you, as your character's controller, are stuck with that decision for the next 5 hours or so of gameplay.
Get back! Keep shooting it! I'll clear a path!
Why do I get this shitty job?
You are the asshole who got us into this!
In my last video, I argued that the point of video games is that they let us embody certain kinds of actions. Bulletstorm is a game about embodying a bad choice. It's about, in its own stupid way anyway, living with the ramifications of doing the wrong thing. It's about living with failure. Most video games are not about that. Big your choices matter moments in RPGs like Mass Effect and Baldur's Gate feel mechanical by comparison. I provide an input and the game delivers an output.
Ever since you were kind enough to free me from that stone, I've seen you demonstrate remarkable guile and courage. The way you diffused the tension between Zevlor and Aradin, the way you got Korga to release the girl.
In real life, we have to sit with the consequences of our decisions for minutes, days, years. Games often don't make us linger on our choices. Every choice becomes part of a fast-moving cascade of choices where the principal pleasure is seeing the effects of our decisions rather than reflecting on them. And this is maybe a little unfair, but I do find it weird that big choices matter games like your Baldur's Gates and your Mass Effects have plots that are driven by fates that are thrust upon the player character rather than your protagonist's choices. At a macro plot level, Bulletstorm is more character-driven and more choice-driven, despite the player not having any narrative agency, than these big choices matter RPGs. Now, I'm not saying that all player choice cheapens character-driven narrative, not at all. Just that some of the big examples of game narratives driven by player agency get so caught up in reflecting your decisions back to you that they neglect to make those decisions matter emotionally. This is not universally true of all games with player choice. Wolfenstein: The New Order, for example, makes you sit with your big opening decision to kill one of your squad mates, transforming player agency into an engine of trauma for the protagonist and making it a point of tension with other characters down the line. But games like this are the exception rather than the rule. It's rare that a game goes to great lengths to make you feel like you're living inside of a choice. Which is a shame, because, as Bulletstorm shows, this can be very effective and affecting, even in the context of a game as silly and juvenile as this. Near the conclusion of the story, Gray and Ishii find themselves working with Serrano to get off planet. They have a moment to themselves, away from Serrano, and they share this exchange.
Spent the last 10 years dreaming of murdering Serrano. Saving him just don't sit right.
You could have killed him. You had opportunities.
Gotta get you out of here. Undo some of my mess.
Those many years ago, after we discovered the truth about Serrano, we could have disappeared into the outer quads, hidden and been safe.
But I dragged you all to the far reaches of the Dark Plains hunting the good general. Yeah, I know, Ishii.
I don't think you do. Your thirst to murder Serrano for his crimes was never about revenge. It was a righteous mission to avenge the many innocents he used us to kill. You led us on a quest for atonement, a chance to reclaim our souls. I always knew I would likely die for this pursuit.
You think too highly of my motives.
No matter what happens, no matter what I say as I lose possession of my mind, know this. You are my brother. I followed you of free will, and I do not hold you accountable.
In a moment of lucidity, Ishii's human brain wins out over the machine, and he chooses to forgive Gray. To be clear, Gray has done nothing to really earn this forgiveness. Gray is the same person here that he is in the beginning of the game, more or less. He's an asshole. He's kind of dumb.
U-R-A-D-U-M-B-T-I-T. Now, press the yellow button to confirm.
But he's a forthright friend, and his sense of justice is undiminished.
Perhaps this is a just end. I would rather die at peace than frantically pushing against fate.
I caused all this. If I die without setting it right, there ain't no kind of peace awaiting me.
There is no logical reason for Ishii to forgive Gray. There's no change in his character to register. He forgives him on the basis of his pre-existing relationship with Gray. He forgives him for the qualities he knows he already had. In other words, you have no control, as Gray, over Ishii's choice to forgive Gray. As the player, you live inside Gray's choice to get revenge, and Ishii's choice to forgive him. I find this exchange embarrassingly moving for what it is, because it is unearned. So many games are about working for accomplishment, about simulating the feeling of earning something. Bulletstorm even lightly critiques the ideology of meritocracy through its diegetic explanation of its skill shot system.
So the skill shot readouts I'm seeing on the leash's hub, this is some kind of combat analysis bullshit?
A lot's points to determine if a drop kit will allow you to resupply. The soldiers who excelled got resupplied. The others didn't.
Would have made Darwin proud.
Here, Ishii subjects Gray to a world that is not his, it's Ishii's. It's a world where Gray's tremendous shortcomings are outnumbered by his virtues. It's a world that Gray does not believe in, even. That he doesn't deserve, but Ishii chooses to give it to him anyway. And what a choice to live inside of. So, to answer the question that opened this video, what makes a choice in a video game interesting? Well, I think the most interesting choices are the ones that we have to live with, whether we made the choice or not. Anyway, here's a montage of me kicking dudes into things.
Hold it! Rise and shine, birthday bear! Starring me!
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. First, I want to thank my patrons WC Parton and Vegan Sushi for supporting me at the $20 level on Patreon. That's very, very kind of y'all. And yeah, this was supposed to be a shorter, easier video between big mainline videos, and then it wasn't. Whoops. Anyway, this month I have a video on Mass Effect coming out. That'll be near the end of the month, of course, and also I'm editing the next episode of the Visual Decay podcast. If you haven't listened to that, you can find the first episode, my interview with scholar and video game critic Cameron Kunzelman, and also podcaster and Stephen King reader, a lot of things, Cameron Kunzelman. On YouTube. You can also find that on the Visual Decay Substack. And yeah, if you made it this far and haven't liked and subscribed and all that good stuff, please do. It's just, it's good for morale. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your continued support. All right, bye y'all.
Come on, Ishii, do what you do best and ruin a party!